Come to order, please. Come to order. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jim Dickinson, and as well as being a member of staff at the National Union of Students, I'm your chair for this afternoon, and it gives me huge pleasure to welcome you to CUSU's all-student meeting. Whether you are a seasoned hack or a first year, and everything in between, this is your opportunity to get your voice heard. Throughout the course of the next couple of hours or so, you'll have the opportunity to find out what the union has been up to on your behalf, put difficult and challenging questions both to the university and to the student union officers, and you'll have the chance to vote on a series of key issues. Most importantly, you'll need to be pin drop silent.
I'd like to talk a little bit about the relationship between the university, the Students' Union, and particularly the Students' Union Executive. And I'd like to encourage you all, because I'm not sure we've got an awful lot of time for questions to me, but what I'd like to do is to invite you to, as you see me around campus, and I spend a lot of time in the hub or in the library and in other places, to stop me and to tell me your thoughts. I'm really interested in what you are thinking, what you think is good and what you think needs improving, because together we can make the Coventry experience the best it could possibly be. Over the last couple of years, we've made enormous progress in terms of our league table position. That's really important for you, it's really important for us. It's important for you because it means the best and the biggest employers come onto campus to look to recruit you. It's really important for just that sense of pride, that sense of well-being. But it doesn't just happen. It happens because we're trying to make sure that the classroom experience, the taught experience, improves, develops and becomes as good as it can possibly be. We've introduced a whole range of measures to make sure that your feedback comes into module tutors and to your course directors on a very regular basis, and that they take note of that feedback. We equally have introduced the classroom observation scheme. You'll see your tutors being observed in their teaching, so that we can improve and develop the quality of what goes on in the classroom. But that's not enough. I need to hear from you directly about individual experiences, not just the collective experience, not just what goes on when we look at a module survey. It's really easy with the stats to miss the real stories, the real richness that your individual stories are. So please, if you do see me around in the hub, stop me and let me know. Tell me. Sit down and have coffee if you want. I do spend quite a lot of time in Costa, so you will find me there quite often. Just in case you don't know, just the stats. I'm not complacent about this, by the way. I'm sincere in the desire that we continue to improve. But the stats, 86% of your predecessors, those people who graduated in 2000, who will graduate next week, in fact, 86% rated the Coventry experience to be good in the National Student Survey, putting us in the top 20% of all universities. 88% rated the taught experience, the classroom experience, to be top class. And that's really important because that feeds through into the employment rates. 94% of your predecessors are in employment in the first 6 months after graduation, putting us right at the top of the list. And in the end, sure, I want the taught experience to be as good as it can possibly be, but I want to make sure that you get into the careers that you all aspire to as soon as after graduation as possible. So that's really, really important. I promised to make a few comments about the relationship between the Students' Union and the university. I'm not going to hide the fact that we've had some complexities over the last few months, but I'm really delighted to say that we've resolved those difficulties. The university is not opposed in any way to the Students' Union. We actually support and actively support the Students' Union. You have a fantastic executive. They express very forcibly to me views, and that's the way it should be, and I hope it always will be. And I hope that we have a proper debate and that we actually try to respond to legitimate and reasonable concerns. I'm delighted that you're finally going to be able to use Hush, and it opens tomorrow night. It's been a really interesting journey over the last few weeks, months. But it is really important that your union is able to represent you in all sorts of ways, both from a representation point of view, from a sports and societies point of view, from a political point of view, and also from a social point of view. And so I'm delighted that that fourth dimension is back on the agenda. I think I'm going to just stop there. Perhaps if there are questions?
Now, yes, there isn't really time for this, but Ian's a good guy, so we're going to slip in a round of three. Stick your hand up if you want to put a question direct to the university, and we will run to you with the mic. When I say we go. Oh, Emily's going to do it. That's excellent. So this is a golden opportunity to ask a question of the university's senior management. Anyone else? Okay, there's a few popped up here, so we'll come to you in a minute. Let's get this one in first.
Hi. It's more of a question for the union, but...
In that case, could you hold on until we get to questions for the union? Excellent. Right, anyone else got a question for the university? We've got one at the front here. Any more? Oh, excellent. Here we go.
Well, it's about the Tier 4.
Okay, everyone, if you could keep it low so we can hear.
Yeah, this is about the Tier 4 procedures, so I don't know if I should bring it up now or later. Okay?
I'm very happy to make some comments about Tier 4 and UKBA. This is not very publicly known, it will be in a moment. I've already been to talk with colleagues at NUS about the whole issue. The UKBA requirements are incredibly difficult. It's not something that the university is happy about, and I absolutely guarantee we will relax everything that we could possibly relax as soon as we have written confirmation from UKBA that we will maintain compliance. I have an absolute commitment to you that we do not want to impose more onerous conditions than is absolutely necessary. I've already made sure that Chidema, as your representative on the executive, will have regular meetings with the university registrar, hopefully every 2 weeks, so that we can work together to reduce any complexity that is imposed by UKBA. UKBA are behaving in a completely arbitrary manner and treating each university in a very different way. The way in which they have behaved so far towards Coventry has been difficult, and we have responded to make sure that we are compliant. We will relax as soon as we have that written confirmation from them.
Can I just follow up with that? Now, the thing is, I appreciate all that the student union you've been doing. I understand that the university isn't happy with the procedures, but equality at this time isn't something that's negotiable. We would expect all students to be equally monitored. And I don't know what these procedures are more offensive towards, the students or the university's credibility. If I'm a research student, PhD student, and if my supervisor isn't trusted by the university to decide on whether I'm serious about my studies or not, it's a major problem that the university has with its own credibility.
I disagree. The university trusts absolutely its staff. There's absolutely no question about that. It is a requirement that has been placed on us from a UKBA compliance point of view. As I say, we will relax as soon as we have the equality issue. I absolutely support, and I really do sincerely support. However, it is fine to believe in that equality ambition, but if the UKVA suspended the licence or removed the licence, as they did to London Metropolitan University, then there is no equality because all international students would be excluded from this institution. And I don't want us to be in that situation. So bear with us. It is a painful process that we're having to go through. It is something politically that NUS are campaigning very much on, and I'm sure Jim will talk about in his...
Rachel will in a minute, yeah.
Rachel will talk in a moment. Fantastic. We will do everything to work together to bring down as soon as we have that piece of paper that confirms.
Okay, difficult stuff, and Rachel's going to pick that up in a bit when Rachel speaks from NUS, and also you've got a motion coming up on it a bit later on that we will come to. So another question, I don't know where the mic had got to. If you could wait till the mic gets to you. We haven't got a lot of time, so we need to take some more questions. Yeah, the people in the back need you to speak into the mic, so...
Oh, that sounds crap. Anyway, yes, we,
and how important you guys are for making changes locally and nationally. So can you just, by raising your hand, sort of demonstrate if you've ever been in your life pissed off about something, about the university, about life, about something the government's doing, about something that you think's unfair? Really, is this it? Everyone's just really content otherwise. Okay, brilliant, thank you. So I'm going to tell you a little bit today about making change and about what NUS can do to support you guys making change and how important you are. So we run a program, a campaign called I Am the Change, and we ask students to submit through your student union, through your amazing student union, sort of changes that they'd like to see in the world. And then they come in, the one that wins comes in, they get some training, and then they go out and hopefully win on that campaign. So I'm going to tell you about Corey Giles, who just saved Epsom Fab Youth Centre for 100 years because of a campaign that she ran. 100 years, which I think is incredible. There were hundreds of submissions. She came in, she did loads of planning, she decided step by step what the campaign would look like. They did number of events, number of steps, and Surrey County Council, who were going to close the youth club without ever having talked to any of the young people in the area, went back on, not only did they say they were going to save it until December 2013, they've just decided and guaranteed that they'll save it for 100 years. So if you ever need a demonstration of the impact that you guys can have making changes, there's one of them. And if you're interested in getting some campaigns training, or you've got an issue that you really want to make a change on, NUS is running I Am the Change again, and you can submit your ideas through the Students' Union, so get in touch. But what I want to talk today about a little bit is about making change on campus, and about your education, and about the experience that you have here. And I think when students started paying £9 fees, and when international students are charged tens of thousands of pounds to come and study in the UK, the government sort of said to us all that we'd start being consumers, and that basically we'd buy our education, we'd behave like we went to a supermarket, like you buy a tin of beans, you turn up to your lectures, you get your education, do your exams and you leave. And I think this is really, really dangerous, because the university can build as many shiny buildings as they want, but if you think about the things that are important to you as members of this learning community, it's not how shiny the buildings are, it's about the relationships that you have with each other, with staff, the learning, the inspiration that you get from having a good lecture. And one of the problems with thinking about education in terms of buying it, being a consumer, is that you never really get to create what it looks like. So if you have, all you're basically doing is giving it a like you're on Facebook, you're saying I do like this or I dislike this. When you're a partner in education, when you create education as part of being on a university campus, you get to decide what that looks like. And that goes further than just education as well. That goes into how you relate to the Students' Union and to each other. So things like Shag Week, which the Students' Union are doing this year, being part of creating that, being part of seeing what that looks like and deciding actually this is what my experience to look like. And I'm going to give you like an example about sort of when I talk about partnership and responsibilities. How many times have you been in the library or in a seminar or a tutorial or something like that, and actually it's not the teaching staff or something like that that's pissed you off. It's been it's been one of your peers that's not done their work, or they're like gabbing away in the library and you're like, oh my god, shut up, or they're taking the computer and all they're doing is on Facebook. And it's really frustrating. And so thinking about education in terms of how we help create it and how we help be part of it means that we've all got responsibilities to be part of that, to create the environment that we want to see. So I want you to have a think about what makes your experience at Coventry special, and why you think this university and this city is so important to you, and how you can make that better, and how you can do that through compromise and through negotiation, rather than turning up, demanding something, taking it and then disappearing. Because that's not how you make an incredible experience. You get an incredible experience by being part of clubs and societies, by making friends, by getting something out of your lectures. So have a think about the things that you hold really special. And that, I think, leads on to sort of 3 big points. So there's big things on campus that will need changing, but I think that leads into how we change the environment that we're in, so like nationally as well. And there's some big changes happening in universities and in education and in the world around us at the moment, and I think you probably have to have your head in the sand not to sort of notice what's going on. And I think there are 3 big things that we can do to change stuff, and to start to think about how things could really be different. And the first one is about partnership, like I've just been speaking about democratic universities. And this leads actually onto the question that you asked about Tier 4. So if universities trusted you guys to show up, to study, to put into your education, and if the government did the same, then the Tier 4 regulations and attendance monitoring wouldn't need to be as they are. And this is about you guys proving that you're here to learn, and you're here because you enjoy being here. You're not just here because you paid your fees. You're here because it's important to get something out of university experience, and you want to change that by creating it together with your peers. So that's the first point I want to make. There's also something about, I don't know if you guys ever feel this, sort of like the snobbery that people have towards different kinds of education, right? So I live in a plumber, and people are always like really like, oh, the plumber, like, is it like, why would you go and do plumbing? And I was like, because he got out of his plumbing qualifications the same thing that I got out of my law degree, which was like the ability to be thoughtful and critical and independent and do the things that I want to do. So I want you to think about the way that you learn and what you learn, and actually what the learning helps you become. And it's not really about being elitist or being snobby towards what you're learning. It's about being proud of the fact that education, whatever that education looks like, or whatever it's taught, helps you become a different person. And I think we have a responsibility to stand up for education across the board, whether that be colleges, BTECs, apprenticeships, work-based learning, degrees, masters, PhDs, whatever that is. Believing that education, everybody has an opportunity to choose the education that's right for them, and stopping this weird snobbery that happens around it, because I think we have a responsibility to end that. And thirdly, our responsibility to the community. So I always use this stat, but it really frightens me. I'm from Liverpool originally, and 1/3 of children in Liverpool live in poverty. And I went to uni in Leeds, and 46% of kids that live around the university, and the ward around the university, live in poverty. And then you have this big grand building with all of the money and all of the privilege and all of the education going on. And kind of the university's not doing anything to change the place that it sits. And when I just heard then how many hundreds of hours of volunteering, how much money's been raised, and I think that's incredible. And the responsibility that you guys have, that the university has, to change the lives of the people in the communities that they sit in, and to really be meaningful about that. I think these are the things that we can change. So it might be just fundraising, or giving £1, or it might be doing an hour of volunteering, or it might be doing a campaign to save a local youth centre. But you guys have so much power and so much knowledge to be able to go out and do that. So I just wanted to say thank you for coming here today. There's so many people here, it's amazing, for contributing to your Students' Union, for contributing to the changes that you want to see, for creating change in the Students' Union, for creating change in the university, and to keep doing it, and to keep making changes for the things that you're not happy about, because they're never ever going to change unless you do it. So thank you.
Thank you, Rachel.
There was an incorrect bit on the bit where we're talking about motion 1, the hub. which states that Tom Fisher was the best faculty chair, and he was in fact the EMC faculty chair, so we're making that amendment. And when we get to the bottom, all we need to do is for you to say if you agree with it or not, that it was an accurate record of the meeting.
Now, this is your first opportunity to vote in a moment, so when I say all those in favour, if you are in favour, you must raise your hand. If you're not in favour, when I say all those not in favour, raise your hand. And if you couldn't care less, when I say any abstentions, raise your hand. Is that clear? So, all those in favour of these minutes being approved? Anyone in favour of these minutes being approved, raise your hands now. Anyone not in favour? Abstentions? Many thanks, those minutes are approved. Right, let's move on then to questions for the union. Now, here are your student union officers over here. What Imogen's going to do is pass the mic along so you know who they all are and what they do. So, if you can settle down at the back. First of all, Imogen's going to introduce herself and then pass the mic along so you know who they are and what they do.
Okay, so in case you've forgotten, my name's Imogen and I'm a Vice President for Democracy and Finance.
Ali Bear, Vice President of Student Activities.
I'm Chibi, Vice President of Presentation.
That's awkward.
Ryan Beasley, Vice President for Student. Thank you, thank you. For Communications and Engagement.
Hey guys, Josh Holmes, EC Faculty Chair.
Hey, I'm Chrissy and I'm the Best Faculty Chair. Hello, Michelle, HLS Faculty Chair.
Hi, I'm Stacey, but I'm the Design Family Chair. Nice to meet you.
Right, excellent. Now, any of you can ask any questions of any of them about anything to do with the union. So if you have a question, put your hand in the air, please. So we have one over there. We'll take these in rounds of 3. Okay, everyone, settle on down.
Is the union organising transport down to the LUS demo on the 21st? And if not, why not?
Okay. NUS is having a demonstration in London in a couple of weeks, and his question was whether the union's organising transport. So we'll come to that in a moment. Let's take another couple of questions before they answer. Anyone else want to put your hand up? There's one here at the front, and then unfortunately one right at the back, which is no fun for you. But there we go. Sorry. Oh, there's one over there. We'll come to you next in the next round. How are you? Oh, I forgot. Right.
This is a question for Michelle. I'm just wondering whether there's anything in the planning for student forums to be more accessible. So, for example, maybe online for reps that can't make it to meetings.
So will we be making forums more accessible so that you don't have to physically turn up? You can presumably watch in your bedroom or something. Yeah. Okay, and then one other, which is sort of here. Let's take this one and then we'll come back to the rest of you, don't worry.
I'd like to second that question about the demo, because although I've heard there is some transport going on, there has been zero advertising and they are they're charging, which is lovely. But the actual question I want to ask is, I know there's been some discussions recently about there being a gender-neutral toilet in the SU, and I'd like to know if that is definitely going to go through, because there are a lot of students in university who feel quite singled out because there's no gender-neutral changing facilities for sports or toilets, and it would just really, really help these students actually study and be part of the hub.
Okay, got it. Okay, so let's have answers to those 3 questions from the officers.
Okay, I'll answer the one about the national demo. We're not charging, and we are putting on transport. This is a nice little opportunity for me to plug it. We are going down to the demo on the 21st of November, but we have a sign-up sheet in reception. It's not a charge, we just need a £5 deposit, which you get back on the day, and that's just so you can confirm your place, and so we know that you're definitely going to turn up on the day, because we don't want 100 people putting their names down and then only 5 turning up on the day. So it's not a charge, it's just a deposit which you will get back on the day, and if you want to come, just go to reception, which is at the first office on the left, and you come at the top of the stairs in the hub, and you can fill out the little form and you can come on the demo with us. Oh, and the advertising bit, we'll push it more. We have been trying to advertise it, but evidently not strong enough, so we will push it more. Thanks. Next question, Michelle.
Hi Toby. In response to your question, thanks for that one. You can locate the minutes from the student forums online. You go to the student portal and then study at CU. There's a link that goes down, it's Students' Union. You can get the meeting minutes and details of your reps. If you've got something that you wanted to pass on to the reps before the student forum, you could grab a senior rep or email me directly. Same with anyone in here. If you've got a really important remark that you want to put forward, a complaint, a concern, or even something really good that you want to put forward, just email your faculty chair before the forum, and we can bring it up, put it in the minutes, put it in the agenda. You can also access the information online. We're going to be setting up something new on Facebook, is it? Oh, there's minutes on the SU website as well. I'm going to pass you over to Ryan. Does that answer your question, Toby?
Yeah, sort of.
Sort of, okay. I'll pass you over to Ryan. You ask me again.
Hi Toby. If there is a big meeting that's going on and you feel that more students would benefit from it, although source media does have limited time because they are volunteers, please approach them because they can do live streaming like they're doing today, and that makes it accessible for everyone. So just approach them. I'm not guaranteeing they will because they are students, they do have limited time, they do have their courses to think about, but it's something, if you ask well in advance, it's something that we might be able to target. With regards to the last question with the gender-neutral toilets, I was in that meeting a couple of months ago personally. Hello, this is your question. The gender-neutral toilets, I was in the meeting a couple of months ago. The problem that we had originally is obviously the obvious problems that you have with gender-neutral toilets. Anybody can go in there. I mean, sometimes it's a good idea, but sometimes it's a bad idea. I was for it. I was completely supporting it, which is why I went into the meeting. The other problem we have is that's building work as well. I think we've come to the conclusion that what we would do is promote a little bit more the current disabled toilets that we have in the hub as gender-neutral toilets at the same time. So we're not actually building new toilets, but they will then become gender-neutral because the thing with disabled toilets are that they are gender-neutral anyway. Well, that's something that I will personally target because you've now asked me. The problem is if you guys don't ask me what to do and you don't tell me what to do, if you just sort of sit back and go, oh, I wonder if he'll do it, I'm not going to do it. I'm not a mind reader.
So there we go, you're going to tell him what to do. Right, and we've got another round of 3 questions before we move on.
No, it's possible. We're still working. It is a work in progress. But we're also looking to bring design students, web design students in, so that they can have a bit of paid work to come and build our website for us, and then it'll be all good. Does that answer your question? I'm sorry, it does take a lot of time. It's not a case of clicking your fingers and a website being built, but we are working on it.
I'll answer the clocks question. Josh has said, are you from an ENC faculty? Who asked the question? Who was it? At the back. What faculty were you? Yeah, but the clocks person, what faculty are you from? ENC, okay, yes. Josh hasn't pointed out that there are no clocks in the new ENC building. Apparently there's a reason. Josh can tell you what the reason is.
I'll kill 2 birds with 1 stone here. Andy, you idiot. Right, the clocks question. I was in the meeting where that was raised. Basically, because we're in engineering and computing faculty, there's technology all over the place. No student doesn't have access to the phone, whether it's on whether it's on the phone, the laptops, the computers in the room, there's TV screens. If you look, there is the time in every room. There isn't an analogue clock, and it saves a lot of money and wiring and all sorts of problems with that. And it seems like a daft idea, but that was something that was way over the student's head. He was deciding and building a big plan, and that's that. Table football, Andy. It's been approved by facilities. We've got the space. We're just trying to get the money for it now, but it's been approved, we'll be ordering it soon. It'll be going in the low ground by Starbucks in the new ECB for all students to use. Picture be again. Thank you and good night.
Right, exciting times. That's all we've got time for on officer questions. That wasn't your only opportunity. They work for you all of the time. Whenever you see them, feel free to ask them a question. Go and see them in their offices, those of them that have offices, those sorts of things. Right, we're going to move on now to the presentation of KUSU's accounts and the budget. So here's your chance to ask questions about finance. Let's get Imogen back on.
Okay, I'm afraid you're going to see me for all of the boring bits. I apologise in advance. But again, it's more just procedures that we have to go through, as you are our members and we need you to approve certain things. However, the first one, the accounts, these haven't actually been audited yet. Normally they've been audited by this time in the year and we present them to you to say that you're happy with them. But unfortunately we don't have them for you here today. So what we're going to need you to do instead is hopefully you'll be happy to move this approval process to Student Council and let Student Council deal with approving the accounts once they have been audited and they're ready for approval. Otherwise, I'm going to have to call another AGM and get you all back just to approve the accounts.
Okay, so the proposal is that your colleagues that are on the Student Council that scrutinise things carefully will approve the accounts for you. You have to approve this. So do I see all those in favour? All those against? Any abstentions? Many thanks. That was moved to Student Council. Now let's look at the budget.
Fantastic. Thanks very much. Okay, so the budget is here for you. Can you just scroll down as well so you can see the bottom? This is basically how we're proposing all of the money is spent throughout the year. And briefly, you can see in finance and admin, that's where the block grant goes in. That's why there's 570 grand there. But obviously some costs come through finance and admin as well. Our block grant is about 750,000 this year, for your information. So those are the budgets. We vote on them.
Now, are there any questions on the budget, or are you broadly happy? There's a question at the front here about the budget. So this is your time to shine, Imogen.
I'd just quickly like to know why a lot of them have minuses next to them, whether the money's actually paid.
Yeah, thanks, Toby. Very good question. It's because the block grant all gets paid into the finance and admin budget line, and then that gets spent amongst all of the other departments, because the departments don't generate their own money. It comes through the block grant, and then it gets spent in those areas.
Good news. Okay, do I see all those in favour of this year's KUSU budget that you were emailed out? And all those against the budget? Anyone abstaining? The budget is passed. Spend the money. Good. Right. Now, in the run-up to this meeting, any student can submit what's called a motion, which is a proposal that the union goes and does something on a particular issue. We're going to hear 4 of these motions today. Now, the first motion we're going to hear is on more time to study. Oh, I've forgotten who's proposing. Can I therefore see Chrissy Jordan, who's going to come up and propose the motion?
Okay, hello everyone. As already introduced, I'm Chrissy and I'm the best faculty chair. This year we had lots of problems with the timetabling and the enrollment, and that's why I'm proposing this motion today. Basically, currently, at least in BES and at HLS, we get the timetables in October when we get to the university. I want this to be changed. I want us to know before we come to university how our timetable looks like, so we can schedule our work and come prepared. Therefore, I want to propose that we choose our modules in May when we leave, and then over the summer the university can plan the timetabling the rooms, so when we come back in October everything is here ready for us and we can start, and they don't need to waste our time by going to student services and changing our modules and everything else. So that's what I'm proposing, and I hope you vote for it. Okay, thanks.
Good. Now, technically I need to see if anyone wants to speak against this motion, and then we'll take a few points from the floor where people might have experiences of timetabling or things that frustrate them about this. So I'll just check whether or not anyone wants to speak against this. No. Good, right, does anyone have any points they want to make about timetabling, questions they want to ask of Chrissy? There's a sort of hand up towards the back there. If when you speak, you could say your name really clearly for the minutes, so that in 100 years someone knows that you did this, and which faculty you're in, that would be really helpful. So is the mic, have we got there? Oh, there we go. Excellent. So don't forget to say your name and then make your point.
Oh God, sorry. My name's Ebony Brown. I have a problem with the advantage modules being put into a single term. For language modules, this is really inconvenient because we only have four weeks before our first exam. And in Japanese, that is particularly hard because we have vocabulary and a new set of characters to learn. I want to know why the university did that. It makes life really difficult.
Okay, thank you for your question, or thank you for your point you made. I've already heard this from a few people, and I did Chinese last year as well, so I know how much you actually learn, or how much you have to learn. I'm going to take that point forward for you, and hopefully it can be changed.
Good. Right, let's have another question. There's a number sort of down the front, and there's sort of one in the middle. Let's see if we can get a couple from the front. Should we take you two in a sort of round of two? It's a good idea, isn't it? Yeah, it's one of my better ideas today.
Yeah, my name is Robert Julius. I'm actually from EC Computing. What I actually want to ask is that I think it's always better if the people or the planning committee for the timetable should include some of the students' committee. Because why I'm actually saying that is that we've got some lectures. We are actually full students. We offer lectures. I think for like full-time students, we actually meant to have our lectures within the day, not late in the dark night. Like we've got some horrible lectures for the first semester and even the second semester, which actually took so long. We've got no lectures all through the morning, and it takes a lot of things for them to approve it. So that's why I'm trying to say.
Okay, thanks for that. Let's take the other one at the front and then we'll get a response.
Hey, I'm Gabriella. I'm one of the best faculty counselors. What I want to say is that selecting the provisional modules in May and expecting them in June is creating a lot of work for the guys making the timetables, and I know that it's very hard to make a timetable for so many people and actually have them individualized. And seriously, just the people here, there's just a bunch of us, and I believe it would be very hard to make a personalized timetables for each of us, and imagine making them for everyone in this university. It's kind of late to be choosing them in May, maybe late March, April.
Okay, thank you for your contribution. Basically, I'm proposing them to be accessible as soon as possible. So we choose them in May. After the exams and everything, you would have a clear vision of where you're going in your studies. So you kind of know which modules you choose. And then the timetables to be ready when they're ready, but earlier than they are at the moment. Because at the moment in October, it doesn't help me when I get them the first week of October when I'm already here and I can't plan work, nothing. So I want us to be able to be prepared and can prepare for the modules. So we're then ready when we're in October.
Excellent, right, let's see for any more questions on timetabling, or we'll move to a vote. So we've got one in the middle. Let's do this final round. And a couple over there.
I just got a question, Barbara Harper from HLS, and I just wonder if you take into consideration people who do resets during the summer, because they're going to be done in August. What are you doing? So it would be kind of difficult to implement them in the timetable. So.
Okay, so there's a question about people doing resets, and then there were a couple over here. Anyone else wanted to ask that question? Oh, there's one towards the back. And then there's one just here, so if we just take those two at the back, that would be ace, as they used to say.
Hi there, I'm Ben, I do BA Economics. My question is about the timetabling. You might need to consider that the numbers for each course don't come in until quite late. So that you'll need to consider that, otherwise the timetables might not be there. As long as it's okay for the timetables to be released that early, that would be great. I think it's something that needs to be done, especially for people who have part-time work, because sometimes they get timetabled for work like months in advance, and we have to change our work timetables around university. So that's one problem I've had, especially since you're not getting your timetable till late October.
Okay, good. And then there's one other one towards the back. There we go.
Hi, I'm Dee Richards, HLS. Just wanted to support the motion in terms of having a timetable up front would be really helpful for people with disabilities who need to provide support for themselves and need to arrange that, and also for parents and carers who need to arrange things ahead of time. Very often timetabling is late for us, and we really would appreciate a positive vote on this. Thank you.
Okay, good stuff.
Okay, thank you for your support, first of all. To answer the question about the resits, of course I've thought about this myself. I'm myself doing a course where some people do placements during the summer, but most of us will go straight from the second year to third year, from first year to second year. So I said the modules will be provisionally selected for a straight going up into the next year, and then the university has got enough time to then accommodate all the others who didn't pass the year, who have resits, who do a placement year. They don't have to think about everyone else then during the summer, they only have to think about these people, and their problem will be solved quicker. Then this year it was just a big mess, everybody had to just run to the student services and change their modules, be enrolled and everything else. I don't know what the other question was. Oh yeah, so yeah, the same thing for the other thing when people come up late. So of course for the first years it would be hard to give their timetable before they come here, but for the second, third years it will be easy, because we just provisionally think that they're going to proceed to the next stage of their course, and for these people who don't, then we can accommodate their issues. Does that answer your question? Yes? No?
Okay, good. We're going to move on then and take the vote. I don't detect lots of opposition to the motion. One of the magical things about this is, if you pass this motion, this lot over here are going to go away and start working on it, which is brilliant stuff. So all those in favour of the motion as you see it, and all those against. Anyone abstaining? Many thanks. So that motion passes. Good. Let's have a round of applause for that. Now, the Queen of Bureaucracy is back. Here's Imogen with the business plan.
Thanks, Jim. Okay, so the business plan, it was also attached in the email, but it was very long. I don't really know what to say. If you haven't read it, we're probably going to quickly run through it now, but it is quite long, and so I hope you can read really fast. But basically, the business plan is what we aim to do in the year. So these are all points that we are striving to make sure that we achieve in the year. And what I'm asking you here today is for you to approve that you're happy that we go away and work on all these things. Feel free to ask me any questions on it as well.
Okay, so if you have questions about the union's big plan, I'm sure you all read it when you got your all-student email. I know I did, and I'm not even a student here, so make sure you ask any questions now about the business plan. Anyone got any questions about what this lot's going to be up to in the year ahead? No?
Fantastic.
Okay, all those in favour of the business plan, raise your hand. All those against? Anyone abstaining? It's passed. Right, good. Now we're going to move on to motion 2. This one's interesting because it relates to some of the questions that were being asked of Ian earlier on attendance monitoring and things. So let's get Chidima up to propose the motion. Round of applause.
I know for monitoring has been a massive problem for international students, Well, as an introduction, I want to describe what a Tier 4 student is. A Tier 4 student is a student from the European Economic Area who is studying with adult student visa in the United Kingdom. And Tier 4 monitoring is a system put in place by Coventry University, where Tier 4 students are required to check in up to 3 times per week. And we note that this union, that the current undergraduate Tier 4 students have to face-to-face register 3 times per week in the university, and as well as academic monitoring on all core modules. That current postgraduate research and thought Tier 4 students have to face-to-face register 2 times a week in the university and as well as on all core modules. That non-Tier 4 students do not undergo this face-to-face registration, but only monitored on all core modules. And this union believes that this is discrimination of any nature is unacceptable and will not be tolerated. That all students are equal and should be treated equally. That it's unjust to distinguish between groups of students and treat one unfairly. That academic monitoring on all core modules is the best way for monitoring all students. That submission of coursework, attending seminars, sitting on examinations, and all other forms of academic assessment are equal ways of monitoring all students that are enrolled in the university. And this union resolves that all students are equal and should be monitored equally. That this union also resolves to work with the university, NUS, UKISA, to ensure monitoring system is fair, equal, and robust. Thank you.
Again, technically, I need to see if anyone wants to speak against this motion before we throw it open to questions. So does anyone want to speak against? I didn't think so. So let's hear some points and questions. Anyone want to make a point about this monitoring issue or want to ask a question? Anyone think what's going on is good or bad or strange or disgraceful? Oh yeah, you, we know you. Anyone else before I come to our friend at the front? No? Then let's come to our friend at the front. Don't forget, if you make a point, make clear who you are and which, what's the word, faculty you're in.
Hi, my name is Tony Morrison, I'm in HLS. I'd just like to make the point that Tier 4 or not, the university should assume that we're all independent learners, we're responsible for our education, we're going to turn up. In my mind, it doesn't quite make sense that they have to be checking on us like we're at school. But yeah, that's all I will say.
And then let's take this one.
Yeah, thank you for the student union for what you're doing, it's fantastic. My quick question is, how can this be linked with the NUS and what other universities are going through, because it's a nationwide problem that students are facing, and it can only be dealt with if we show and we're vocal about our objection to the UK Border Agency.
Okay. We got a third question before we move on. Yeah, we're going to get Rachel up to help with answering, because Rachel's here from NUS to help answer the NUS bit of the question. This character here, say hello.
Hi, my voice. My name is Liam Brady, I'm ENC. My question is that, assuming that this problem is a legal issue and it's imposed on the university rather than really the university's choice, how do you propose to make how do you propose to have equal monitoring without, instead of getting rid of these restrictions, adding the restrictions to everybody else?
Okay, good news. So 3 questions there. And Rachel are also, I think Rachel's also going to answer from the sort of national perspective on the national campaigns front. So let's hear from them both on those 3.
So, just a little bit of context and history about where attendance monitoring has come from. Did you see in the news about London Metropolitan University lost its licence to sponsor international students? And that was basically UK, VA, unhappy with the way that London Met were doing things. It meant that potentially 2,500 international students would have to leave. It was a huge injustice and was very, very unfair to those students. From this, it is a legal requirement to do attendance monitoring, but one of the biggest problems is that UKBA, UK Border Agency, has never said or never prescribed what it expects from universities. It just expects universities to do it, which is totally unfair. So what you now have is universities panicking that the UK Border Agency are going to do the same thing to them as they did with London Met. And so you have places like Newcastle, for example, looking at biometrics, which is fingerprint testing, which is really frightening, which is an infringement of civil liberties. When you really consider this, you've got places like UEA who are linking attendance monitoring to your grades. So if you fail an exam and you can't prove that you went to all your lectures, you can be penalised for that. So this is a really serious issue, and the motion's really right. You know, it's right in drawing out the fact that this isn't just an issue for international students, this is an issue for all students, and it's about trust and about academic integrity, and about the fact, you know, the point that was made that we're not at school. Sometimes you actively choose not to turn up to a lecture because you're doing an essay instead, or you want to go to the library or do some self-directed learning. So that's a bit of context and history. There is a legal requirement. To prove that people are turning up and doing their lectures. There's also an issue about retention and making sure people are safe and happy on campus. But that shouldn't ever infringe on people's civil liberties or their rights. And they certainly should discriminate international students above all students. Sorry, and I should add, anyway, so I'm going to be running a campaign on this, because obviously this came out of the London Met issue, which we supported on, and we took part of the court case to ensure that London Met students could stay and study. But anyway, so we're working on a campaign at the moment, so we're actually collecting incidences across the country of where attendance monitoring is happening, where bad practice is happening. So make sure you get in touch. I'll be at the front if you want to chat at the end, and we'll be going forward with this in the new year.
I want to add to that as well. I'm preparing a questionnaire to get the students' voice, to know how students want to be monitored and the best practice for this. And answering your question, we're not trying to impose every monitoring on students, but we believe that submission of coursework, attending seminars, as I said before, sitting for exams, and any other form of academic assessment is what we want our students to do, and not to be monitored face-to-face.
I'm the fool.
Now, if we're talking about legal requirements, then it is required that the university make it clear to students before they sign up with Coventry that this is required. I wouldn't have chosen Coventry if I knew that I would have to go through this myself. So otherwise, just make it clear from the beginning in the contract that students have with the university that this will be required. We were tricked into this whole system.
Okay, any more questions before we move on? Someone here is just pointing at the screen, confusing me. No, right, okay. This final question then. Oh, someone has got a question.
Alright, my name's Stephen Smith, I'm the EC. Yeah, like the agenda says about making it equal. The only thing I can see making it equal would be to impose it all of the requirements on all students.
Just going to go through the main points. The student union believes that students should have unlimited access to free, clean water within the faculty buildings and across campus, including the hub. I'll just skip quickly to the union resolves. The union resolves to mandate the executive to contact the Estates Department and to obtain a quote for the installation of water fountains which are supplied by the same sources as the university's tap water. And two, to mandate the executive to discuss with the university the possibility of installing at least one filtered water tap fountain per university building, including faculty buildings and the hub. Thank you.
Good. So, does anyone want to speak against this motion on water, just in case anyone didn't think so? So, does anyone want to make a question or ask a point about water? At the front.
What I did just want to say quickly was that we did, as far as I know, try to pass a motion like this last year, and it didn't come through. So if you do approve this, can we have your support with this? As an executive, if we take this to the university, because it is a lot of work, if we're going to go for free water in all buildings, we need your support, we need your student voice to go to the university and say, this is what we want. We can't just rock up into Madeline's office and go, we want this, and she'll say, yeah, it doesn't work like that.
Okay, so any questions just about water? Another one on the front. They're dominating the affairs, the executive.
Just to add to the point, just let all engineering and computing students know our faculty listens and we're getting water installed in the next 2 weeks. EC.
School pride. Right, any more questions or points about water? In which case I'm going to move to the vote. All those in favour of the motion, raise your hands. Anyone against? Abstentions? The water passes. Now, Imogen is back up now to present some trustees to you.
Okay. I thought we were going to have a slide of all the names, so instead I'm going to run through the list of them for you. I'll briefly explain the trustees are ultimately responsible for the union, and they have the ultimate, they're the top of the union, basically, and they look after everything that we do and make sure it's all happening legally and things like that. So the list of the trustees that we have, all of the sabbatical officers are trustees, so that's myself, Ali, Chidima and Ryan. We've also got 2 student trustees, one of which is Josh, our E&C faculty chair, sat at the front, and the other one is Sarah Lloyd-Nibbs, who is our social experience officer on student council. And then we have 2 external trustees, one of which is Justine Doherty, and she has an advice background and is very knowledgeable in those areas. And we also have another one called Pat Noon, who has just recently joined us and will come to our first meeting in a couple of weeks' time. And he used to, what was he to the library? Director of the library, apologies. And so he knows the university and he has strong links with the Students' Union, and so both of them are really useful in looking after the union. And apologies that I don't have it up on a slide, but you can't really see it very well at the moment anyway. So we need you to basically approve that you're happy for those trustees. Wait, do we need to approve it? Okay, actually we don't need to approve it, I apologise. It's just for information, we're letting you know who the trustees are. So it's the sabbatical officers, Josh, Sarah and 2 externals at the moment. Thank you.
Lovely, good people. Right, now let's move on to an equation. More officers equals more development, or does it? Let's hear from Ali Burr to find out.
Right, I promise to keep this nice and short and sweet. You all know who I am, Ali Burr, Vice President of Student Activities. I put this motion forward. For the last 18 months I've been the Vice President of Student Activities here at Coventry University Students' Union, and it's been a pleasure to work with all of you. I've been doing this job now, like I said, for 18 months, and this portfolio is too large to help represent and develop every one of you here at the Students' Union. Just give you some quick facts. Last year we had 4,000 students within sports and societies, 1,521 students volunteering in 129 organisations. Students raised £47,000 with RAG, and we had over 100 people campaigning on a monthly basis. Now, to have one person to represent you on student council, one person to represent you on the executive is not enough. So what I'm proposing is that you, as a student body, mandate the executive, so myself and the other 7 people in front of me, to look to develop and then to expand the executive and to split up my portfolio. So just so you all know, my portfolio oversees sports, societies, volunteering, raising and giving and campaigning. So what I'm asking you to do today is to vote. So we have a review of our sabbatical structure and look to help equal out the portfolio of Vice President of Student Activities.
Okay, good. Thanks, Ali. Now, before we move on to questions, does anyone have a prepared speech against this proposal? I'm only joking. Good. So, anyone got any questions then for Ali about this? There's a question at the front. There's a question over here. Good.
Just a quick question to the whole executive. Will the restructure mean that there are changes to the terms of reference for all student councillors?
And then if we take the question in the middle, and then any others? Do you want to wave your hand in the air? There's a question at the front as well.
Tristan, A&D. Just wondering, will there be some more emphasis on campaigning? If there will be someone specifically for that? I mean, I know the last time there was a restructure that we lost the presidency. That was a couple of years back, but just because things seem to be a bit more squashed up, things like campaigning seems to be a bit lost. Wondering if that would be more focused on.
Okay, and then there's also a question at the front.
Hi, my name is Dwayne Knight. My question is, how will the posts be split? That's just a question. How will they be split?
Okay, so a bunch of questions there, some about what the wider review of the union's democracy might do, and some about campaigning, and one about how this specific post might be split. Ali, do you want to answer?
Yeah. Okay, Toby, nice and quick, student council, student officers, no, there wouldn't be a change in terms of reference. If we split up the sabbatical officers, if we added one more or restructured it, the only difference would be who would be your supporting full-time officer. That would be the only difference. There won't be any change to any constitutional terms of references. In terms of campaigning, yeah, this is where this has come from. It's very clear that the sports and societies and the volunteering side of things takes a very heavy workload within the student activities portfolio, and we've realised as an executive where we want to go, and we want to encourage more campaigning, more RAG on campus, so that's why we're looking at trying to split this up. So it's trying to provide a more equal balance across all the areas of the union. Dwayne, to answer yours, we've had a brief chat, but no, we haven't got any full ideas. But we want it to be backed by the student body before we investigate it further. Obviously, it'll be brought to student council after here. So yeah, we haven't got any firm ideas yet, but it was just a brief discussion that we want to move this forward. But we wanted you guys to back this first before we move forward.
Okay, thanks, Ali. Any more questions about this? Good, in that case I'm going to move to a vote. All those in favour of this equation? And all those against? Any abstentions? That motion passes! Good. So we're drawing the meeting to a close now. A few things to say. First of all, can we have a round of applause for our guest speakers, Ian and Rachel? Can we have a huge round of applause to the people who've helped put this together, the staff at the union, and in particular the roving mic person who's been excellent over there. So a massive round of applause for the people who make it happen. Big round of applause for your union officers. They worked day and night for you, and they've put on a good show today. And finally, a massive round of applause for you. Me and Rachel visit lots of student union, all student meetings, and whilst bits of this aren't massively exciting because we have to do formal business, this is definitely one of the better ones we've been to. Lots of participation, good motions, good atmosphere. Give yourselves a big round of applause. Thanks a lot, and see you next year.
I seem to go to the right. Twitter, Team Toby, get trending.